attribute, book ID, title, publisher name, and publisher year, publication year. So this is just an example of library database management. Okay, so it's not necessarily always you need to create this many entities. You can create a number of entities, but here for the lab purpose they have given only these 6 entities. Okay, so you need to create, write the entities. You can just see I have created the entity book, then I have book authors. Just find where is it, book authors, then publisher. Are you able to see publisher? Then so then we have book copies, book lending, and library branch. Okay, and sometimes it requires you just recall. So some of the additional entity, if necessary, you can create book lending, okay, card, then library branch. You can just earn book copies. So here you can just observe. So we have created another entity called card. Okay, so where it will be maintained the card information. Okay, and you can just associate the attributes for each of the entities, whatever they have given here. Okay, and which are the attributes that becomes the primary key, foreign key we need to represent in the ER diagram. Okay, so for book entity, book ID is the primary key. Okay, for book authors, we don't have any additional. You can just see book authors. We have book ID and author's name. Okay, so here I am not specifying book ID. That is this is the foreign key. Okay, this is the primary key of book, and that is acting as a foreign key for book authors. Okay, so here we have only one entity. I mean only one attribute for book authors, that is author names, and that is the primary key. Okay, similarly you can just check with other entities. Okay, publisher, we have publisher name, that is the primary key, then address, phone number. Okay, then we have library branch. Okay, branch ID, branch name, address, then copies, it is having attribute number of copies. Okay, number of copies. So branch ID and book ID are the foreign key. So branch ID from library branch you are taken as a foreign key for book copies, and also book ID from the book entity. Okay, so here you need to identify the relationship that is not given here. Okay, so they have just given the entity names and the corresponding attributes. So now you need to identify the relationship. Okay, so each entity should be related to the other entity in some relationship. So book and book authors. Okay, so that is book written by authors. Okay, so written by, I can just give the relation name between book and book authors with relationship written by. Okay, so each author can write, n number of authors can write m number of books. Okay, so that is the cardinality ratio, m is to n. Okay, see, you need to go through ER diagram thoroughly, because for every lab exercise you need to draw the ER diagram. Okay, I have already explained in detail why it is m, why it is n. Okay, it indicates number of participation. Okay, so is it 1 is to 1 or 1 is to n or m is to n? You need to identify. You can just observe here. So publisher. So publisher can publish n number of books. Okay, so but one book is published by, see, you just see how you need to understand. So one single book, a book is published by a publisher. Okay, in that case it is n is to 1. See, when you are giving the relationship from book to the publisher, you need to give the participation ratio here. Okay, when you are telling from publisher to the book, so publisher, okay, publisher can publish n number of books. Okay, so that is how you need to understand the cardinality ratio. Are you people are understanding? Yes, are you people are understanding what I am explaining? Yes or no? Respond. Yes or no? Can you please respond someone? Hemant, Hiteshi, Kushal, can you respond? Are you people are understanding what I am explaining?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, once again I will not repeat. Okay, so try to listen carefully. So if you have any doubt now itself you can ask. So if you are not understanding the ear diagram, then it is difficult to solve the queries. So you should be familiar. If I tell book entity, so what are the attributes? Immediately you should be able to tell. So that is the way you need to understand. Okay. So book has copies. That is how many number of copies it is has. Okay. Each book can be having a number of copies. So that is how you can give the relationship. Book copies in a library branch. Okay. So here in is the simple relationship between these two. Okay. So there can be n number of books in different branches in m number of library branches. So that's why here the cardinality ratio is m is to n. Okay. Similarly, you can check with the book lending. Okay, book lending with respect to the card, book and card. Clear? So book lending. So you can just see even we have a attributes for a relationship. So that you already learned in the module 1 and how you can move these attributes to either this side of the entity or this side of the entity. Okay, not necessarily, or you can create a new entity with respect to this relationship. Okay, having these attributes. Okay, it is left to choice. We have discussed now how ER diagram should be converted into schema. So in that, it is having that rule. Okay, maybe fifth rule. So that indicates how a relationship can be converted into an entity. Okay, you just to recall back about the ER diagram. So if anybody is not listening, so you will face a lot of problem. So this is the one example I'm going to explain clearly. Remaining all you should able to write the ER diagram by yourself. Okay. So most of the information they have given in the question itself. Thing is you need to understand and you have to give the relationship. And also you can link each of the table. Okay. So how you can relate each of the table. And also you should know which should be the primary key. Okay. If necessary, okay, that primary can be taken as a foreign key in the other table also. Clear? See, you just understand university database. So in so many tables, I can just the course registered. So in that case, I cannot keep only the courses registered. So I need to keep which are the students registered to which course. So like that, in that case, I need to take student ID or USN from student entity to the course registration. Okay, like that, you should know how you are going to make use of primary and foreign key concept, referential integrity constraints. Okay, is it clear? So this is the first step for solving or creating any database application. Even your project, you should draw the ER diagram. For report, you need to prepare the report for your project. Okay, first you have to identify what project you are going to develop, like this library database. Okay, somebody is doing hospital management, then you just think what are the entities in that. Okay, so admission, then registration, like that you can have different entities. So that you need to identify and also identify the corresponding attributes. Once it is done, give the relationship between the entities, then give the, or you can write the cardinality ratio. Okay, cardinality ratio, it tells very clearly. So that is indicating the participation. Okay, how many number of, so publisher always, okay, publisher can publish n number of books. Okay, that is how you need to write the cardinality ratio, or in this way. So that is book, a book, a book means single book. Okay, so the particular book can be published by a publisher. Okay, same textbook I cannot give to the multiple publisher. Okay, I cannot do that. So if I have written a book, that can be published by a single publisher. Okay, so like that you should be able to give the cardinality ratio. See, this is very, very fundamental of the database management. So if you don't know still how to draw the ER diagram, then it's very difficult. Okay, so don't take the things very easy. Okay, so you just prepare your future point of view or exam point of view. You need to get understand the ER diagram thoroughly. Yes, any doubts in this? If no, I'll go to the next part. So later, I think it's better. I will share this document. You can go through this. If anything not understood with respect to your diagram, you can come back. Okay. Is it clear? What are the steps you need to follow? You need to identify the entities that is already given in the problem statement. Okay. Then specify the attributes. Okay. Among those, make one particular unique attribute as primary key. Okay. And give the relationship, write the cardinality ratio. Okay. So that's all you need to do with respect to ER diagram. It's not so easy. You should have little bit knowledge on this database, then you can write this relationship and cardinality ratio. Okay, so for that reason, you need to understand the given problem thoroughly first. Once you understood, then you can start writing the ER diagram. See, once if you have prepared with the ER diagram, it is 30% of the problem is solved. Okay, if you have a problem means the database, what application you want to create. Okay, if you draw the ER diagram, 30% it is cleared, it is solved. So now with the help of this, you already studied in one particular chapter, that is how to convert the ER diagram to the schema. Okay, so next step is you need to convert the ER diagram into schema. Okay, this is, we call it a schema. Okay, so the rectangular box separated with each attribute. Yes, everybody knows no schema. But here you should follow we have discussed 6 rules. You have to follow those 6 rules to convert from ER to the schema diagram. Okay. So let me just explain some of the entities. So you have book now. So if it is, these are all the attributes or the simple attributes, you can just specify directly book ID, title, okay, and publication year. Then publisher name. So that is the foreign key from the publisher. Okay, so that you are going to refer like this. Okay, whichever the ID or the primary key you are going to refer, so you need to just give the proper arrow mark. Okay, this is the primary key for the table publisher. I am just using as a foreign key to the book. Okay, so that is just to maintain the integrity constraint, referential integrity, or give the relationship between these two tables. Okay, is it clear? I can relate, I can apply join operation, whatever the operation you want, you can just apply with respect to book and publisher, because I have referred this particular attribute as a foreign key. Clear? So like that you can just go with the next book authors. I have only one attribute, book authors. You can just check it where it is. Book authors, okay. Only one attribute. So now in additional to that, I am just taking this ID. Okay. So that is book ID. That is together we referred as a primary key for book authors. So we have discussed different types of keys. Okay, composite key, primary key. That means more than one attribute can also candidate key. More than one attribute can also become a primary key, not necessarily always one attribute. So sometimes we may not able to identify the unique records using this particular attribute. In that case, I can take the combination of the attributes. Okay, so this is now the primary key of book authors. Similarly, you can go with the book copies. Go to the book copies. I have how many attributes? Only one number of copies. And also it is having a relationship with respect to book. Then I can take this book ID is the foreign key for book copies. Can you see? So now this book ID is the foreign key to the book. I can relate these two tables. Then branch ID. Okay. So branch ID from other table. Okay, that is from library branch, and number of copies. That is the, you can just observe. So what are the information? We are just representing the attribute, but the relationship information, okay, integrity information, we have represented in the schema diagram. Similarly, you can just go with a book lending. Okay, so book lending, you can just observe here. I have date out and due date. Okay, that is when you have taken the book date out, and when is the due date, when you have to return back the book, that is specified in the due date. Okay, so I have only these two attributes. Now in additional to that, I am referring, so one is the card number. Okay, so card number I am taken as a, so this is taken as a foreign key here, card number. Okay, then branch ID from the library branch and book ID from the book table, we have referred as a foreign key in this table. Okay, so this book lending will be storing the information of branch book ID, which book, okay, which branch, then what is the card number, that is which student has taken, what is the date, okay, when is the due date, okay, like that. So it is keeping the complete information about when the student, okay, which student, when that book is, I mean, they have taken. So that information is stored in the book lending. Then library branch, okay, branch ID. So this is once again a foreign key from the book lending. Then address, then branch name, library branch. Okay, I think here. Okay, so this is the foreign key, and this is taken as a foreign. This is primary key, and this is taken as a foreign key in book lending, and also it is referred in the number of book copies. Okay, book copies. Is it clear? Branch ID. This is the primary key. Is it clear? So how the schema, I mean ER diagram is converted into schema. See, until unless you sit, analyze and try, you will not understand. You will not be able to write the things. You need to take the problem, try to solve it. Even if it is wrong or correct, later you can check it. Okay, so take the problem, try to draw this ER diagram by yourself first. Okay, then you just go through the chapter first, understand what are the notations used, understand thoroughly. Okay, once it is done, they have given separate chapter to like how you need to convert this schema to the, I mean ER diagram to the schema, understand thoroughly. Okay, so then your 50% of the problem is solved. Okay, so now as of just writing ER diagram and schema, it is 50% of the problem is solved. So now it's very simple. You need to put everything, whatever you have created in the schema, in the form of SQL statement. That's all. Okay, if you are familiar with the SQL statement, you can easily do it. Understood? Everyone? Even if I repeat all the steps, you people will not understand now until unless you sit and study. Okay? So you just go to the corresponding chapters, understand the steps, okay, then come back to the problem, okay, and try to write ER diagram and schema by yourself. Just copying, it's of no use. You need to try to write by yourself because you have to create ER diagram and schema for your project. That is the first step you need to follow before implementation. Is it clear? And also there is a condition that you have to create minimum 5 tables. There should be minimum 5 entities. It is not just creating 2 tables and create the application. Okay, there are some of the conditions you need to follow. Okay, so once it is ready, so now it is very easy to create the database. Okay, so you can start creating the table book with these following attributes. Okay, only thing is now you need to take care of the what we can call conditions. Okay, constraints. how to specify the constraints. So primary key, foreign key, okay, on, delete, cascade, all that, on, delete, remove. So there are so many constraints we have discussed row wise and also column wise. So you should know, okay. So if I delete book ID, the particular book, okay. So is it going to affect the other tables? Obviously, because you can just check it. It is referred in this table, book authors, referred in the book copies, okay. So it is referred in so many tables. So in that case, what is the constraint, proper constraint you should give? In case if that book from here, it should not be referred anywhere in the other tables. Okay. So for all that, you should take care of specifying the proper constraints. Okay. So we have discussed so many times, that is how to uh, specify the constraints and the syntax used in the SQL. Yes, no? So let me just go to, so how we'll start creating the table? How will start creating the table? Can somebody tell? Is it, shall I start creating the table from book? Okay, I will just write, you can just start writing, that is SQL statement. Okay, so do you think it will work? That is create table, create table, book, okay, followed by all the attributes with a primary key constraint, and also title, publisher, publication year, and publisher name. So do you think you can create the book successfully table? Yes, somebody answer. Is it possible to create? At least tell yes or no. Put in the chat box. Yes, Lakshmi Shravani, can you tell? Is it possible to? I can create this table successfully without any error. Shravani. Even if it is wrong, also no problem. Just tell yes or no. If it is wrong, I can correct it. If you are not responding, then you will face a problem at the end. Yes, Bhumika, Chandan, Vishwa. We have created so many tables. I have just executed so many SQL statements, no? So you now just tell me, can I create a table for this entity successfully? Can somebody answer?
Yes, ma'am.
So you can create successfully. Who told that answer? Yes. It is better to use chat box. Okay, so that even I'll come to know that who is answering. If this is the case, I may take 3 hours to explain one lab program if you are not responding. Anusha, you just go back to your home when after the class, sit along with your kids. Okay, maybe your brother or sister. You just see how they will be responding. I don't know what is your problem. So nowadays, no response only from the class. Even if you are online or offline, so you need to be familiar with the technology. That is the ultimate goal. Okay. Anusha, can you tell? You just put N or Y in the chat box. Let me see how many of you will tell correctly. See, nowadays nobody is responding, then it is better we'll contact your parents. Okay. I will only take that charge. I will individually call your parents. What they are doing, your kids are not responding, they are not listening. That will be good, no? Okay, it is left to you. Face the problem. Okay, so what is there here? I'll just read out a possible lesson. So create table publisher, okay, with name varchar, and I'll make it as primary key, phone number integer, and address varchar of 20. Okay, so it's very easy to read and finish the class. Then create table. So nobody don't want to ask, oh, why I'm just creating publisher first. Why not book? Okay, so you people don't get any doubts. All are professor, everybody thorough with just attending some courses. Okay, if that is the case, so don't respond. I will just read out, if possible listen. So create book ID, so I'll specify it as integer. Even you can specify it as a number. Okay, and also you need to specify, is it a primary? If it is a primary key, specify it as a primary key. Then title varchar 20, then publication year, it is varchar of 20. Then publisher name, references publisher name, on delete cascade. Okay, don't ask me what are these things. When you are not responding, even I'll not. It's very easy to table. Author name varchar 2 of 20. Okay, book ID, references book. Then book ID is the foreign key in this. On delete cascade, then primary keys. It is combination of multiple attributes. One is book ID and author names. Okay, so create table, library branch ID integer, it is a primary key. Then branch name varchar of 50, then address of 2 of 50. Okay, then we have book table, I mean create table book copies. So number of copies, that is the name of the attribute. So it is of type integer. So when you are practicing, you can just go with, in place of integer, you can just use the data type number. Okay, so in, you just try, if it is working fine, you can execute it. So in older version, so integer, it won't work. Okay, so whatever the version you are using, see, even I have shared the software. Okay, I don't know how many of you have tried or what is the problem. No response. Okay, so just you are wasting your parents' money, okay, by using the data pack, whatever it is. That's all. How much you are learning, it is left. Okay, so that is about book copies. You can just see here, we are using two foreign keys. One is book ID from the book table. Okay, on delete cascade. Okay, then branch ID references library branch. Then branch ID is the name of the attribute. On delete cascade, that is the constraint. Primary key, book ID, then branch ID. So here once again we have taken composite attribute. Okay, so more than one attribute, I made it as a primary key. So create table card. Then so why card is created when it is not there in the ER diagram. Okay, in schema it is not there. Okay, it is missing. You need to add that part in the schema card. So that is where it is storing the card details. Okay, here it is a card number, integer and primary key. So here we don't have any other attributes with respect to card. You can just observe that is available in the table, but it is missing in the schema. You need to just add that particular card entity details. Then create book lending table. Okay, so with the date out, due date. Okay, the data type you need to use date. Okay, just we have discussed all these things, different data types you can use in the database. Book ID references book. Okay, book ID on delete cascade. Branch ID. Okay, so this is from the library branch, that is referred as a foreign key in this table. References library branch ID on delete cascade. Then we have card number, references the table card. Okay, so this is, you can give any like a different attribute name. So, but here when you are specifying, you need to specify the correct attribute name that is in the table. Change if you want the name of the attribute, okay, for this table. On delete cascade, then primary key, book id, branch id, and card number. Okay, so any questions you can ask me. I will not ask. If any questions, take 1 minute time with respect to this table. So here wherever we have referred on delete, okay, you can just observe with respect to so this key, that is book of id, that means this is the attribute I am referring from the book table. In case if I do any changes with respect to this table, okay, change means if I delete a book, particular book information, so on delete cascade, that means in case if I delete this information in the um, table with book, okay, so immediately the same information also be reflected in the book authors with respect to that particular id. So that is the meaning of on delete cascade. You can just observe. So with many of the things, okay, so wherever I have referred that book information, I've just used it is called as a constraint on this particular attribute. Okay, we can just observe branch ID. Okay, so if branch ID itself it is not there in the library branch, and if you are maintaining that particular or referring that branch ID in the other table, it's meaningless. Okay, for that reason, whenever if you delete a particular branch information, in case if it is deleted on delete cascade, that means the same information should also be deleted from the book copies. Okay, so that is the meaning of on delete cascade. Okay, that is one of the important constraints you need to use. Even in your projects, it is necessary to use. Otherwise, it is meaningless. If I don't use here, what happens is one is either you will get an error that is indicating referential integrity error. Okay, just to avoid that, you can just use on delete cascade. Like that, we have on update cascade. We have different constraints. So here I am just using on delete. Yes, any questions? It's so difficult to unmute and ask the question or type the question. Okay, so if it is difficult, let me go to the answers. Okay, this is what you have to do is first you have to create all the tables, whatever you've done here with the proper constraints. Okay, so primary key, foreign key, and also other constraint also you need to specify during creation of the database. This is just created database. Okay, so I have not inserted any of the details. So if you want to insert details, then you have to use insert command. So now before that, you can just describe the like any of the table to know what is the data type you specified, is it correct or not. So name, publisher, not null. That means I made this as a primary key. So that's why it is not null. And the data type is varchar of 2. I don't know how many of you know what is the difference between char. So this is for characters, okay, or the string char and varchar. What is the difference? Go and identify what is the difference between char and varchar. That is also all. Okay, if you are not able to note down the things, then it is difficult to remember all the points. Okay, so what is the meaning of varchar of 2 of 20? Okay, so I can declare the variable with even char of 20. Okay, what is the difference if I declare variable with char of 20 or varchar of 2 of 20? What is the difference and which is preferable? You can just see in many of the like all the table wherever it is required for character information, I have used varchar of 2. Why not character of 20? Even if I use, it will accept 20 characters. Then why I am preferring this? Put question by yourself and identify the answer. It's explained long back during discussion of data types. Similarly, you can just describe the book, all the tables. Okay, so this is a command you have to give in the SQL command prompt when you open. Okay, you have to DESC stands for describe the table. So where it will list all the attributes and the corresponding, this is indicating the constraints, and these are all data types. Okay. Similarly, you can just describe the other table, book authors. Okay, you can just see here in book authors I made these two attributes together primary key. Okay, so you can just see for both the column you are getting not null. Similarly, library branch, then book copies, then card number, then book lending. Okay, so this is the output you are going to get after creating the table. Okay, you have to create this, you have to write this SQL statement. Okay, if there is no syntax error, so you will get a message, table created. I think many of you observed when I was doing the practicals. Okay, once it is, you get the message, then only you can go to the next one. Or if any error, syntax errors, it will show the error. So you have to correct that error and you have to go to the next table. So like that you have to correct. So here, let me, this is the first program I am just telling why I have created publisher instead of book. Okay, so for the next program onwards, you can explore yourself why I am doing that. So book, you can just observe, if I start creating the book table in the beginning itself, what happens is, so publisher name, it is not yet created. Okay, that is referred as a foreign key from the publisher. I have not created. So if you try to create the book table first, okay, with the publisher name as a foreign key here, you will get a error indicating so unknown identifier something, you will get an error. So for that reason, you should either create only this much of the table, then later you need to alter the table by adding this as a foreign key. Okay, after creating the tables, all tables. Otherwise, you can just see which of the tables are simple tables. Okay, it is not referring any of the foreign key. In that case, you can create. You can just observe publisher. I am not referring any other tables to this table. Okay, there is no foreign key. So then directly I can create the publisher. Okay, once if I create this table, then I will go with the book table. So by that time already publisher table is there. So you will not get any error when you are creating the book table because publisher name is already available. So that is referred as a foreign key here. Clear? Is it clear? So how you need to create, either you can just create, keep on create the tables, okay, with only the attributes and the primary key. Later, if you want, you can just use the alter command and you can alter the attributes with the proper constraint. Okay, that is also fine. Or simple is, you can just go with this method. First create all the simple tables, okay, where it is not, if it is not referring any of the foreign keys. Okay, so for that reason we have created first publisher, then we have created book, because by that time publisher name, that is name of the publisher, it is already available. And you can just see here publisher name. So this is a name, different name I can give for this particular attribute in the foreign key. So here I have used name, but when I am referring it as a I am referring this name as a publisher name in this table. Okay, but this particular column will be referring to this column in the publisher. Okay, so there is no issues with respect to that. So once you referred as a foreign key, so whatever will be the name, so this particular column will be referring to this table in this column. Okay, always you can just give the name of the publisher, you can refer here only, that is, it should be existing in the publisher table. Otherwise, if you try to refer, you will get an referential integrity constraint error. Okay, so those are the things you will understand only when you start doing practically. Okay, until unless you do it, until unless you get errors, okay, any issues, so you will not understand the things. So that's why I'm telling so many times, you install the software. I have shared the link. If any issues, let me know. So if you are unable to install the software, means studying in fifth semester, I don't know how you are going to do the things. Okay, simple software. Or else if any problem, let me know. So third sem students are better than you people. Okay, if I tell something, they will do it by the next class only. If not all, at least few students, they will respond. So at least you should have that much of interest. Okay, so I don't know if anybody is having so much of work other than studies, so let me know. Okay, so your parents are thinking that you people are listening class, doing all the things, but how much you are responding to the class, only the teachers will be knowing. Is it clear? Okay, so it is not always scolding. Okay, so I don't want to do that, but still, you people are repeating the same things. No response, proper response from your side. I told exams will be there. This time there is no, you cannot escape, or they will not promote simply without writing exam. That is not there. Okay, somehow they will conduct the exams, even practicals also. It is not online. You have to come to the college. Okay, so you just do this. This is the second step. You see, all these things you have to write it in the record. Okay, so as of now, you can just write it in your observation book. So just keep one observation book. I will share this document. Okay, so you can just start writing the observation book. Parallelly, you can just install the software that Oracle 10G I have shared. No, so you can just install it. And if any issues, let me know so that I can solve the problem. Once it is done, you just keep writing first year diagram, then schema, then table creation, then just describe the tables. Okay, that once it is done, then you have to insert the values. Okay, you have to insert the proper values to each of the tables. So here insert into, once again, you cannot start with the book. Okay, because book table is referring the publisher name. So if it is not existing, you cannot insert values to the book. So that's why once again you need to start inserting values to the publisher. At least you need to insert 6 records. Okay, 6 instances of records should be there in the table, each of the table. Okay, so this is publisher details. You can just see the name of the publisher, publisher ID, and this is the address. Then insert into book. Okay, this is the table book. You need to specify the book ID, book name. Okay, then what is the second attribute for book? It is publication year, then publisher name. Okay, so you can just see whatever the publisher name you are going to give, so that should be existing in the publisher table. Okay, so then similarly insert few records into the book authors, then library branch, then book copies. See, it is not so easy how you can just copy paste. Well, first you need to type, okay, at least type and big, so that you will come to be familiar with the syntax. Don't do the copy paste. Okay, so you should be familiar to the syntax. If any mistakes, you should able to debug the program or whatever the statement you're going to write as SQL statement. Okay, then card, then book lending. This is day out and due date. Okay, then card number. So these are all card number or the book ID, whatever you are going to use, it should be existing in the book table. Okay, so that is how you need to insert the values, okay, for all the tables. So once it is done, it's very simple. Once you type this, just keep changing the different values, the proper values. Always due date should be greater than this. Okay, so you cannot make this March 17 and this is June 17. Then after inserting all, so the next step is you need to just try to display, okay, whatever the records you have inserted, you just try to display using select star from name of the table, okay, for all the tables. So select star from book. See, after inserting all these values, you will be able to get the output like this. This is the output of the query. So this is the query. This is not given, but you have to check it before solving the queries. Then publisher book. These are the books entered here, and this is the publication year and publisher name, and this is book ID. Okay. Then select start from book authors. Then library branch. Then copies. Then card details. So card details, we don't have any other attributes except the card number. Then book lending. Is it clear? Clear. So these are all the things you have to do it before start solving the queries. Yes, no? It's a little bit lengthy. Okay. The procedure, because you have only 5 programs. Okay, you have only 5 database you have to solve. So in that, this is the first one. So we'll just try to write the query, SQL query to fetch these details. You can just see many of the queries SQL statement, it is for retrieving. Okay, so retrieving, you have to use the SQL select statement and specify the proper condition, and you will be able to get the details what you want. Let me explain one or two queries. See, but if you do this much of the things, okay, remaining thing it will be very easy. Okay, but thing is you should be familiar with the SQL statement. So what the first SQL statement tells? Retrieve the details of all books in the library. Okay, you need to retrieve. You need to select. One is book ID, title, name of the publisher, authors. Okay, this information you can get it from the table book itself. Yes, no, you can get it from the book itself. But in additional to that, they were asked even number of copies in each branch. Okay, they were asked even number of copies in each branch. Okay, so first identify what are the details you need to retrieve. Okay, that's the first step of solving the query. Select, you need to specify. So here you should know what is this B. So B stands for, that is alias name for the table book. You can just give alias name instead of writing every time, because the same attribute if I have referred in the other table, so then there will be an ambiguity. Okay, just to avoid that ambiguity, I'm just giving the alias name. Book B, then book author A, book copy C, then library branch L. Okay, so book details, so these details you can get it from the book, and also the author details from the book authors, and book copies they've asked number of copies, and also they have specified in each branch. So you have to even get some information from the library branch. Just give this, and you should remember these alias name. Okay, so B dot book ID, B dot title, B dot publisher name. Okay, so you can get these three information from the book table. Then A dot author name. Okay, that you can get it from the authors, book authors. Then C dot number of copies from the book copies. Then library ID, not ID, it is branch ID. Okay, so you can get it from the library branch. So just this is the first step. You need to know what are the information you want to retrieve. At least if you write this, you will get half marks. You will get half marks. Okay, I'm just telling with respect to the theory point of view. Okay, at least you can do first step. Very simple. What information you want to retrieve and where it is available. Okay, from where it is available, these details. Okay, so you'll be knowing that if you are familiar with the schema, you'll be knowing in which table this information is available. So now you need to specify the condition. Okay, so how I can retrieve this? For that you need to use the proper conditions, where B dot, it is somewhat like joining condition. Okay, based on this join condition, you are going to retrieve the records. Okay, B dot book ID is equal to A dot book ID. Okay, if it matches with this condition, so that particular book information is retrieved. Okay, then book ID is equal to C dot book ID. So that is to obtain the number of copies. To obtain the number of copies, I am just giving the joining condition. Then similarly, in each branch, that means L branch ID is equal to C, that is copies, number of copies, dot branch ID. I'm just applying different joining condition to retrieve all this information. Okay, so if this is the first program, it may take time to understand this. Just try to understand. It's very simple because we have solved so many queries with respect to company database. So if you have understood that, so you can write the solution by yourself. Just go through the query. If you want to understand this, you should be by this time familiar with the ER diagram and also schema. That's compulsory. Then only you will come to know that in which table what information is there, how you can relate two tables, all that. Okay, number of copies, I cannot just get it. So I need to find number of copies with respect to book ID. Okay, so from the book table and also number of copies table or book copies table. So if I have a proper joining condition, if any tuple matches with this book ID and that is referred as a in book copies, if match is found, then that particular record will be selected. So like that, it has to satisfy these three conditions. Okay, whichever the tuple that satisfies these three conditions, so that record will be selected. Okay, because I have used what is this and condition. That means it has to satisfy all three conditions. Then only that record will be selected. Okay, so if you apply this according to whatever the records I've inserted, okay, so this is the output of that record. I mean output of the this query. Okay, it's not so easy. Even in the exam, sometimes listen here. Sometimes what happens is because in 3 hours you need to show even the mini project and also you have to execute at least this one full query you have to execute. Okay, it will take a lot of time for write up only. So if you are not understood the things properly and if you are just scratching your head with a lot of time, then it is you will be unable to execute the programs. Even you will not get a time for demonstrating the project. This is a simple question, but you just see what is so much background work is there. To write that result, you have to do all these steps. Okay, so this one, so this is just to check the output, and from here you will be solving the queries. This is for the first query. So like this, you will be having 5 queries. So for that reason, just spend lot of time in understanding the things, ER diagram, schema, how to give the relationship, how to retrieve the required information from multiple tables. Okay, so one at least from today you just start whatever we have discussed in the theory part with respect to company database. Okay, just try to understand. They have given very clear explanation in the textbook. Even I have explained. Okay, in case if anybody not understood, you can just start at least from today. Otherwise, so you will be helpless. Next. Okay, so next is, so get the particulars of borrowers. Let me complete this query and I will stop. So get the particulars of borrowers who have borrowed more than 3 books, but they have given the condition. So the date, due date between this. Okay, between this due date, so I need to get the borrower's details who has taken more than 3 books. So you should know now what are the classes you have to use to filter the records and get the proper records. Okay. So this is with respect to card number. So I will come to know number of books bought by the student. Okay. So based on the card number. Yes, no, by checking the card number only, I'll come to know that the student has got 3 books or 4 books or 1 book. Okay, so now you can apply this condition with respect to the book lending table. So select card number from book lending, because book lending it is having the details of due date. Okay, so I need to give this due date. Within this due date, all the students has taken, okay, has taken more than 3 books. There is a problem. So select card number from book lending table. This is the name of the table, where date out, okay, this is the attribute name, date out between, okay. So you see, this is the one more new keyword, how when you have to use between, okay, when they have given the range between this date to this date, they've already given, just you have to represent in the proper format, date. Okay, so this is the representation of date in SQL, that is month, year. This is day, month and year. Okay. Then group by card number, because why group by card number? See, this is year, this 1718. You have to give like this only. 1718 is the year, because they have specified in the question itself. 17, 18, 18, 19, whatever they will give, I have to specify like this, day, month and year. And it should be within the quotes. So here they have told more than 3 books. More than 3 books means I need to check with respect to card number. So I need to group the card numbers who are having more than 3 books. So group by card number. So I may have taken 3 books. Okay. So I need to group these 3 based on my card number. Okay. And I will come to know that is it I have got more than 3 books, or 3 books, or less than 3 books. Okay. So for that reason you can group by card number having count. Okay, this is the aggregate function, having count greater than 3. Okay, having count greater than 3, just display that card number. Okay, just display that card number. Are you people understood second query? So you should know group by, when to use, having. So this is to specify the condition. So group based on particular attribute. Okay, the same student may be taken multiple books. So for that reason, you have to group it. How many books the student has taken within this due date. Okay. So such card numbers I am going to display here. So according to my database, whatever I have inserted the records, according to that I have only one record. I mean only one card number having more than 3 books. Okay. So this is the output. Similarly, so just last question I will complete. This is just simple delete. Okay, delete a book in the book table. That is the book table. Update the content of other table to reflect this data manipulation operation. Okay, they have given very clearly. You just observe. So delete book. You need to delete a book. Any one book you need to delete. Okay, just to check that the students know the syntax of delete command or not. Okay, so delete from book where book ID is equal to 3. Any book ID, existing book ID you have to give. Okay, this is so simple. So delete from table where the book ID you given, and that particular record, if it is existing, you will get a message one row is deleted. And also you just read update the content of other tables to reflect this manipulation. In case if any other table record this book ID equal to 3, So in that particular table also, it should be deleted, because when you are creating the table, you have written on delete cascade. Okay, on delete cascade. Wherever you referred book ID as a foreign key in the other table, so you have written on delete cascade. So in such tables, so this ID information or this information also be deleted, because when it is not there in the base table, so how you can refer as a foreign key? That is the meaning. Okay, so that is the third query completed. So next, there is a view. Okay, let me complete this in the next class. So by that time, you just go through this. Okay, go through this problem, try to understand if any issues. So we'll discuss in the next class. Okay, at least do that much. Till time is there, at least start your preparation from this. Maybe, okay, I will upload this. Where you want to share me this document? Shall I upload in the Teams itself? You just download. Okay, download it and go through that. So not only that, even the basic commands, it is there in the beginning of the record. Okay, in beginning of the manual. You can just go through that just for practice. Okay. After that, the program is started. Lab programs. Okay, page number 17. Okay. Okay, so still time is there. At least we get alerted now and do the things. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So you have to prepare the synopsis for your project. So I will tell you what are the things you have to prepare in the synopsis. Who all not yet decided what project to do, you just finalize that. Okay. Okay then. If no questions, let me end the session. Any questions? Okay, if any questions, I'll just go through the document so that we can discuss the same thing in the next class. Okay. So thank you all.